Welcome to SHOWBIZ Tell, a monthly podcast from the Georgia Entertainment Public Relations Alliance. And now, here's our podcast.
I'm Elise Riley, and welcome to SHOWBIZ Tell, the podcast where public relations professionals deliver a backstage pass to join us as we uncover secrets to success in the entertainment industry. Our special guests share their favorite show-stopping moments, tried and true business acumen, and telltale eventers from sets, stages, screens, and concert halls. And now it's time to SHOWBIZ Tell.
Hey, I'm Mitch Leff, and with us today is Seth Ingram, who is the creative director of the Rome International Film Festival, which runs from October 31st through November 3rd of this year in beautiful Rome, Georgia. Welcome, Seth.
Welcome.
And congrats. Riff is hitting 21 years just now, right? Is that correct? We had 21?
That's right. Our festival is old enough to drink, so
I was going to let you say that, so I appreciate you throwing that in there.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one, like it always is, but this year's no different. Yeah.
Give us a little background of what the Rome International Film Festival is all about. What are attendees going to see? What are they going to do there? When are they going to do it? And don't forget to throw in that website address so people know where to get tickets.
Awesome. Yeah, we've got a great lineup out there. If you follow us on social media, we're at at Rome Film or just Rome Film on social media, and at riffga.com to check out our full schedule. Got a great lineup coming up for you this year. We start on Halloween, which is a little unusual for us, and we're doing some fun things. We're going to have a 40th anniversary screening with Zach Galligan from Gremlins, the film Gremlins. Hard to believe it's 40 years old. But Zach's going to be here. He played Billy in Gremlins. And then he's got a short film that he's also in called Honk that's going to play in a late night horror block after that. And then we're going to have a costume party, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So opening night on Halloween's, it's not really, we're calling it a soft opening. We're calling Friday night our opening night. And then on Friday night, we got some great stuff. We've got a film with John Leguizamo and French Stewart and Barbie Fiera. Directed by the great Tracy Lehman, who this film is called Bob Trevino Likes It. It's been performing very well at every festival, and it's been picked up by roadside attractions. So we're very much looking forward to bringing everyone that film. It's based on a true story, and French Stewart's going to be here with us to tell us all about it. He gives an amazing performance in the film, so we're very excited about that. That's on Friday, November the 1st, and then on Saturday, November the 2nd, we've got all sorts of stuff going on. We have 4 venues running in downtown Rome. Once you get here to the Rome International Film Festival, especially if you're coming from out of town, Atlanta, you can just park your car. If you stay in one of the downtown hotels, everything's in walking distance. There's no real reason to get in your car unless you just want to go explore the outskirts of Rome. And Saturday night is going to be capstoned by a screening of a film called Bang Bang, which is the new film from a director named Vincent Garshaw, who is a very brilliant director, who all of his films he's made have been in major festivals, and this one was premiered at Tribeca, so we're the Georgia premiere of it, and it starred Tim Blake Nelson, who's going to be our featured guest this year, and he's also going to be receiving the Flannery O'Connor Award for Storytelling, which is an award that we give out at the festival. Previous recipients have included Billy Bob Thornton. Last year, Francis Ford Coppola presented the award to Ethan and Maya Hawke. And this year we're going to have a celebrity guest presenter, but we're going to announce that just a little bit later. But Tim will be with us, and it's going to be fantastic.
Seth, how long have you been with the festival?
I've been with the festival since 2015. I'm a filmmaker and a producer also, and I had a documentary in the festival in 2014, and I just moved to Rome, and the festival, they didn't know what their future of the festival was going to be, and they asked me to come in and take it over. And I said, I didn't know the first thing about running a film festival at the time. I'd been to a few festivals, but that was it. That was my complete experience with film festivals. So, but I reluctantly said yes, and have really, it's coincided with things I've been doing in the industry, and I've been able to leverage that and get some guests in. And we've really raised the profile of Riff since that time. And we've managed to keep it going. It's hard to believe it's been 9 years I've been doing this thing. So but that's how I got involved, and I thought I'd do it for a few years and pass it off to someone else. But here I am, still in the salt mines of the film festival world.
Isn't that the way it works though? You get into something and you think, I'm just going to do this for a few years, and someone else will pick it up, and then you get into it. And you're like, I love what I'm doing. I'm just going to keep doing it until I always said until I get bored with it or I'm not learning anything anymore. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And, then all of a sudden you're 9 years later and you're still doing it. The festival is still thriving and growing, right?
Yeah, and I teach at Georgia Highlands College, and having a festival for the students to be involved with and participate in is huge for them. They get so much access that they wouldn't otherwise get to the industry and to doing just a lot of really cool things. And plus, with the other universities that we have in Rome, we have Shorter University and Berry College, and having all that participation, it's been really great for the festival, and through the student angle as well. So then I launched the film program at Georgia Highlands, and so the students really embrace it, and just having their help and support and giving them that access to the real world of filmmaking, even if at a glimpse, and just having access to rub elbows with people and talk to actual producers and writers and directors and all that are here. That's been a fabulous opportunity.
That's
That's
great.
great. That's great.
Thank you so much for sharing all that information. And we are very excited to attend the festival this year. Our podcast is called Showbiz and Tell for a reason. We're leveling up the typical show and tell concepts we all grew up with to focus on conversations about how the business of entertainment works. Seth, we've asked you to bring something interesting to show and tell us about to kick off today's podcast. What do you have with you today?
All right, so let me just pan my computer over here. If you'll see these two posters on my wall, I have one Smokey and the Bandit and one of a film called Dog Years, which is now called The Last Movie Star.
Yes.
Both those posters are signed by Burt Reynolds. So this was in 2016, I had a friend, Gordon Whitener, who had helped produce the film Dog Years. They shot it in Knoxville. They wanted to shoot it in Georgia, but we ended up having to shoot it in Tennessee. Brought Burt Reynolds in. He filmed it, and then we brought him in to riff. And Gordon was a Darlington. He went to Darlington High School, which is a private school here in Rome, Georgia, and so we had a connection that way. But having Burt come into the festival was great. So we had a board member who really wanted this to happen. So we sent a private plane down to Jupiter, Florida, to pick Burt Reynolds up. Burt Reynolds comes in, lands at the Rome airport. I don't know what I'm getting into. I know Burt's, up in years at this point. I see his cane come out in the little portal of the airplane. We're standing at the airstrip, going to help him off the plane. I see him come out, and it's a pretty, on some of those planes, you have to climb down a steep set of stairs to get down. I was really worried about him. So we were kind of gathered around, and sure enough, Burt Reynolds kind of falls down. My first experience with Burt Reynolds is we're nose to nose. I just caught him coming off the airplane, and he pushes his glasses up, his little rose-colored glasses, and looks at me and says, "Are you my son?" And he was just joking, obviously. But from that point forward, he called me son, and I called him dad, and we had a great festival. And that was one of a festival that really, I think, in 2017, that really jump-started what I was trying to do here at Riff, and it really put us on the map. And plus, it was it would turn out to be Burt Reynolds, really his last big festival, hurrah's last appearances in public. In fact, when he passed away the following spring.
Wow.
And, but having for his obituary and all sorts of things, they used pictures from our festival and stuff like that. But just getting to know him was a great experience. He fell in love with my family. In fact, our festival was in November. And on Christmas morning of the next Christmas morning, I get a call randomly on a Christmas morning, and it was Burt Reynolds wanted to tell my kids Merry Christmas.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, that was that we had a huge festival that year. We had a parade, a Smokey and the Bandit reunion, and everybody in the entire South brought their Smokey and the Bandit cars. We had parades up and down Broad Street in Rome, and just huge audiences. And these aren't your typical festival going audience that came out for some of these events. So it was great just for him to have that big moment. He really appreciated it, and just that's helped lead to a lot of other things that we've done at the festival. But that experience really sticks with me.
Yeah, and he
Yeah,
actually attended Florida State University, and so he would go to a lot of the football games, and that's when I first met him. And he would just sit in the crowds with everyone, and was super accessible to everybody, and just loved everybody, and would shake their hand and spend time with them. So that's
Yeah.
to me that's a true superstar.
He had committed to the University of Alabama, and his buddy from his hometown, Lee Corso, said, you got to come to this school visit with me," and he drug him to Florida State, and they were sitting there. I can't remember who the coach was for Florida State, but it was their first year of college football. They had been an all-girls school up until that point, and so
Yes.
they just became a boys' school, and we're going to have a football program, and he has all the football recruits seated in the room, and the coach writes 9-1 on the board. And he says, "Do you guys know what that is?" He said, "That is the girl boy ratio at Florida State." So Bert switched his commitment from Alabama to Florida State, and the rest
That is amazing. That is
right. So,
hysterical.
so Seth, looking at that poster and that experience, how did that kind of drive your career and your direction?
Well, from the festival standpoint, it just a light bulb went off, and I thought, we're kind of we're 60 miles northwest of Atlanta. Maybe we don't have the traditional film audience, the cinephile audience locally that we would want to have, but I realized that if I can get just someone that can connect the local community, and bring out everyone and get everyone together, that was huge. So I started, from that point forward, trying to pick guests that I thought would resonate with a broader audience. So that has been very helpful to us, in just bringing in lots of people and help us with marketing and promotion. But also just getting to know Bert, and the personally, the access that he opened up for me on my producing career as well, was that he gave me lots of words of advice, and he was always there to if I had a question or anything like that. So I think it's led to me just maturing as a producer, and I've made a lot of films since then, and so that was just having him in your corner is the biggest thing.
That's fantastic. And I know that you're celebrating the 21 years at the launch of the festival, and I'm sure that there's some highlights and stories that you can tell us. So out of the 21 years, is there something really special that you want to talk to us about and share about the festival?
Well, I mean, every year since I've been doing this, each year to me has gotten better and better, maybe outside of the one COVID year that we had. But last year was going to be incredibly hard to top. We had Ethan and Maya Hawke, and Francis Ford Coppola presented the award, and Danielle Deadweiler did this fantastic Q&A with Ethan Hawke about Flannery O'Connor, and just about life and their philosophies. And I mean, that was just priceless to me. To be in that small room with everybody and just hear that conversation, I just felt like that was the universe was treating me to something that I didn't deserve. And I think all of everyone that attended felt that way. And even Chris Escobar, my good friend, who's the director of the Atlanta Film Society, said that was one of the single greatest things he's ever experienced at a film festival. And that means a lot coming from someone like Chris, who's attended a ton of film festivals. So I always worry about how we're going to top it from year to year. And it's not, we do everything here in Rome. We're a small festival, and we're kind of a boutique festival. We try to do what we do very well, very well. We offer a ton of hospitality. We treat every filmmaker, even the smallest filmmakers, like they're stars. And just that experience of just connecting everyone together. I mean, every year I say it's like you go to camp in the summer when you're a kid and you didn't know everyone. But when it's time to go home, you don't want to leave, and you've made all these new friends, and that's kind of how each one feels. But now that we've elevated the profile, it's just that some of the names are getting bigger. But yeah, I just worry about how we're going to top it. Another one that meant a lot to me was the year we had Billy Bob Thornton here, because he was just one of my legends and idols that I've grew up with and thought was just a brilliant voice in cinema. And just having him here, and to be he found it such to be such a humble place that he didn't feel like it was pretentious in any way, and he liked it so much. And he's been someone else that I'm still working with on some projects, and we're collaborating on lots of things together. So having that one was also incredibly special. And then I think this one, just having Tim Blake here again, and that he was on a podcast just the other day and said some really nice things about me that were super flattering, that I never thought I would hear, that hear come out of someone like his mouth, because he's just a literary genius. And for him to say nice things about me, it was very nice and very humbling.
Well, let me ask you, what is the unique thing, the secret sauce? What makes the Rome International Film Festival, unique? And maybe talk about it from a business model perspective. How do you differ the Rome Festival from the Atlanta Film Festival, or the Savannah Film Festival? What's unique and different, and how has that allowed you to hit 21 years?
Well, I think, I can only speak to my time at Riff, but I think that what is truly unique about it is just the fabric of the festival. The town is the festival. Everyone around, all the board members, everyone's participating in it. Broad Street in downtown Rome becomes a part of the fabric of the festival, and everybody can just walk. It just feels like wherever you're at, even if you're at a business going to get lunch, you still feel like you're at the festival. And when you're in a bigger city, often you don't have that. The festival's in a Cineplex, and when you leave the Cineplex, you're just in the town, you're in your car, you're stuck in traffic. But having that kind of small town feel to it really just adds a lot, and the community members really appreciate it and get behind it. And I think that is the secret sauce for us, just plus the hospitality that we provide, and bringing like big city audiences to a small town just kind of feels great. And I think the like I said, the filmmakers, the stars, they kind of really appreciate that environment, because they're not used to going somewhere where they're treated like that. They're just treated like normal people. And like the festival itself, the attendees, just having access to everyone is, that's also different, because most time you would stand in line to get a photograph or something like that. And not to say that doesn't happen at Rome, but there's also times when you can just walk up to someone and just have a conversation, or run into them on the street. And I think that's really special about what we do. And being a little bit outside of Atlanta, you kind of have to make it a destination weekend. So a lot of people come up here and they just fully engross themselves in the festival, and they attend every event. Where at a lot of film festivals, you may just go attend a few things that you really want to see. But here, once you're here, you're here for the weekend. So we're going to capture your attention in every way for the entire weekend.
So true. So true. Seth, what has been the toughest hurdle you've ever had to overcome in your career? How did you navigate it? And what did you take away from that experience?
I think the toughest hurdle for me is just, to me, coming up in a different time. I always felt like, Hollywood is this thing, it's over here, and how am I going to break into the entertainment industry or whatever? But then once you realize that it's a human face to that, and that it's really just all relationships. And I think the key thing to me was just really realizing that it's so relationship driven, and making those relationships has really changed my outlook on the industry, and doing the projects that I want to do. I've made a lot of films that, weren't films that I produced, that, I had nothing to do with the creative side of it. I just helped produce them because they were shooting in Northwest Georgia or something like that. But now I'm at a point in my career where I've met so many people through the distribution side, through the studio side, and just individual talent, that I can kind of pick and choose some of the projects that I want to do and push forward. And just seeing all aspects of the industry through the film festival and through my own filmmaking side, of how all of it comes together and how it connects. And I think that I'm positioned now. There's a change in the way the filmmaking world is working, as you've noticed. The state of the industry is really changing, and I think that we're in a great position to be able to take advantage of the shift, and get some really good films made, and not just be making the kind of films that we have to make to please a distributor or fill a quota. So I think that that's a unique opportunity that has arisen. I think that all Georgia is in a key position if they can realize this and put some money into their own productions and raise up their own creators. I think that there's a really unique opportunity that's about to happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously this is a kind of a little bit of show biz kind of podcast. So we always like to talk a little about, what is the role of public relations and marketing in the success of the festival? How is that how has that changed? How have you kind of administered or implemented those kinds of tactics to make the
Well,
festival more successful?
you can solve a lot of problems with money, and that's something that we still, as a small festival struggle with. But getting the word out early enough. There's so many people here in Rome, even though we're 21 years old, that when you talk to them about the film festival, they may say, "I've never heard of that. What is that?" And then if you're not in that world, you may not know that. Even though we advertise, we're on the radio, we're everywhere. But social media, but getting the marketing out is always the hardest part of doing any kind of an event. If people don't know about it, they're not going to show up. And I think that we have a great reputation in the industry and around the state for sure, but locally it's a little bit different. So we try to connect all those dots through our marketing, and we have two elements of that. We have the community piece that we're trying to get our local businesses and community in, and then we have the piece that we want to market to the outside world. So there's a balance of how we do all of those things.
And
But
I guess I'm going to prompt you and say, one important part of the festival is not, I don't want to say just, but it's not just the films, but you have an educational component too that's pretty strong too. You want to talk for a second about that?
Yeah, so we do a student film academy every year, the week before the festival that's related to it, and we bring in industry professionals in all different fields, and we create a conference style environment that we bring in high school juniors and seniors from around the Northwest Georgia area to the Georgia Highlands campus. I think we have 250 students come into this year's film academy, and they go through it, and it just shows them the kind of things that I wish I could have learned when I was 18 about how to access the film industry, so they can talk to a makeup artist or a costume designer or a producer or a screenwriter, or they can get hands-on experience with some of the gear and just whatever, all the different elements. We teach them, show them how stage combat works and things like that. But just having that firsthand experience to actually put a face to it, have a mentor that can kind of guide you through how to actually gain access to the industry. So that's one of our educational components. Other parts of the educational side of it, we do some panels within the festival. We're doing a Latin filmmakers panel, and we're doing a highlight on Latinos in Georgia and in the film industry and the difference that they're making. We have panels like that we do. It's not just all about filmmaking, it's more storytelling. And we just started the Film and Entertainment Society here in Rome. And so we're trying to do more things that aren't just film related, but just really highlight storytelling. And as you know, marketing is essentially just storytelling. So all of this has the common theme of storytelling. And we have like some podcast panels. One podcast that we did a panel with last year was so well received. It's called the Proof Podcast. So we're doing another panel with them, but they're a podcast that goes around and they've overturned wrongfully convicted people out of prison, and they're really instrumental in a lot of those things, working with the Innocence Project and things like that. And it's just seeing those personal stories, and we bring some of those people that have been in jail and gotten out because of some of the new evidence that they showcase. But so those kinds of things are also very educational, but in a real world sense. They're not just in the film industry, but showing you the power of storytelling, the real power of storytelling. If someone it can get someone out of prison just through storytelling and a little investigative journalism, which is very amazing.
Yep. And the next series of questions is what we like to call the Blitz, which is kind of like a lightning Q&A round. And it's really just to get to know you as a person. So my first question is, what would people be surprised to know about you?
Surprised me. I was once a goat farmer.
No way. Tell us about that. That's amazing.
My middle son could not drink formula when he was born, and for some reason, couldn't digest breast milk, but he could handle goat's milk. So I was spending a lot of money on goat's milk. So we actually bought a goat and raised the goat and milked the goat. And one goat turned into 7 goats eventually. And we had a little goat farm for a while. So that's interesting.
That's fantastic. What's your favorite movie or TV show?
Oh wow.
Wait,
Favorite
I'm
mo-
sorry. Wait. I gotta say, we're gonna need a picture of that.
the go
We're gonna
I can apply a
we're
photo.
gonna need a picture, and we're gonna include the seven goats in the pod in this
I'll tell you,
podcast. I got it.
someone else you may know, Drew Sawyer from Moonshine Post.
Yeah.
I was sort of a mentor to him when he was coming up, and he made a film when he was in high school, right out of high school. Slept on my couch for the entire time, and we would get up and milk all the goats. So Drew has milked the goats as well. So if you ever talk to Drew, you can talk to him about the goats. Um,
So,
Also,
what is your favorite movie or TV show?
favorite movie or TV show? Wow, there's so many great things. I get we ask it. I ask my students a lot of these kind of questions, and I think about it all the time. There's so many things that I love.
Yeah.
Um, I'm going to have to go with a generic answer, something like The Godfather. I love The Godfather. I love Francis Ford Coppola. I love what he did for independent film. But I'm going to tell you my guilty pleasures and what I really like. And my
Yeah.
favorite filmmaker is
Yeah.
Jared Hess. If you or the Coen, actually the Coen brothers are my favorite, but Jared Hess, who did Napoleon Dynamite,
Yes.
and he's done some other films since then, and I love them. Me and one of my sons, we watch the films. He did a film called Gentlemen Broncos, which most people don't understand, but we love it and watch it, and I love his quirky style of filmmaking. And then the Coen brothers are really my favorite, and I'm going to actually go back and say that Miller's Crossing is my favorite movie.
Nice.
By the Coen brothers, 1990. Gabriel Byrne, John Turturro, Steve Buscemi. Love that film.
That's great. And what's your favorite music venue?
Favorite music venue? Um,
I know you're big into
yeah.
music and bands.
Well, I mean, it's hard to beat the Ryman in Nashville. I've been to a lot of shows at the Ryman, but locally, I really like the Eastern. If you haven't been to the show at the Eastern, that's fantastic. And yeah, those are some of my favorite ones. I have to say, or I guess we're looking at local. Uh, uh, yeah, those would be some of my favorite. I mean, I love small shows and I love acoustic
Yeah.
shows. I love the intimate. So Eddie's Attic is another one, and I love going to see shows at Eddie's Attic as well.
That's wonderful. And what's the last thing that you read, Seth?
Last thing that I read was a bunch of my students' screenplays.
Okay.
But I also read, so Tim Blake Nelson is working on a film that we're going to be producing in Georgia, and I read that screenplay. I think I'm under an NDA and can't disclose some of those things, but I read one of Tim's screenplays that's fantastic, and he's tying it back to the festival as well. So I just recently read that screenplay that's going to be hopefully produced in Georgia in 2025.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that would be great. And what's your favorite thing about Rome, or what makes Rome special?
Uh, what makes Rome special? Um, I think that it's like I think I've touched on a lot of this. Is just that it all folds in together to the fabric of the festival to make everybody is no matter if you're at any store or anything downtown, you still feel like you're at the festival, and the community support and the way that the community perceives it. We're kind of all in this together. We still have a very small town feel here, so the business owners and everybody has to get behind it and pull for us. And I think that just having a beautiful downtown and the three rivers here. I mean, it's a special place because you're so close to nature but you have like some of the big city amenities in a small town, and the quality of life here is very good. And I think we're a part of that. So
That's great. Well, that's all the showbiz intel we have for you today. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast at gepra.net/podcast and follow us on social media. Special thanks to our wonderful guest, Seth Ingram, Creative Director of the Rome International Film Festival. Seth, congrats again on your 21st anniversary. Thank you for sharing with us today, and thanks to all of you for tuning in. We hope you have been entertained and inspired as much as we have.
Thanks, everyone. You've been listening to Showbiz and Tell, a podcast presented by the Georgia Entertainment Public Relations Alliance. I'm Mitch Leff.
And I'm Elise Riley.
See you next time.